So lobster diving in Palos Verdes, good to be back. I'm glad to report that since my last dive here, I would say the kelp has grown maybe 20–30%. So it's been really encouraging just being out there and seeing all the kelp come back. But yeah, so this lobster dive, the swells were about 1 to 1.3 feet. Surge was pretty light and winds were really light as well. So overall, pretty good conditions. Visibility was about 10 to 12 consistently. There were some spots where it was better, some spots where it was worse. But overall, pretty good. This dive, no lobster for me today. Had some opportunities, maybe about 4 solid opportunities for some potentially illegal lobster, but no luck. And but it was just good to be out there. There's plenty of lobster to see in the holes. During the day, it's a bit harder to catch lobster because they're further back into their holes, so you have to get in there and be creative. Nevertheless, a good dive, always good to be in the water. One thing I did catch though was some pieces of plastic that I found while I was diving. If you're out in the water and you see something like that, just please grab it and dispose of it properly. Yeah, we need to clean up the water anyway, so let's do that. One thing I do want to share for those of you that are curious on how to shore dive, or kind of at least the way I enter and exit the water from rocky situations like Palos Verdes, I'd like to share some tips. So what I do typically is, if I have my spear gun, kind of the same general rule applies, but I'll hold my fins in one hand, both of them, and I'll walk out and try to go as far as I can to the point where I can almost not touch the ground anymore with my feet. And how I go about going through the shallower parts is actually don't use my legs. I don't kick, because from my experience, when you kick, you might knee a rock and it's not very pleasant. So I just use one hand to grab rocks and pull myself forward and try to time the swells, right? So you don't want to go when a wave is crashing, and you want to kind of go when the tide is receding. So pulling rocks, just trying to get yourself to a point where you can be out further, where you can work on putting on your fins. Once you're at a place where you have enough room to put on your fins and you're timing the swells, you put on your fins in the water one at a time. If it's really rough, sometimes I'll just put one on and try to kick past the break and then put the other one on, but that's generally how I do it. Coming back in, pretty much the reverse order, but the coming back in, I would say, is more potentially dangerous than going out. Before I head in, obviously try to time the brakes, look for a spot where I would know I want to target and land, and then start swimming toward that spot. Once I get to a point where I think my feet can touch the ground, I'll pull off both fins in the water, and then I'll try to walk on the rocks, but also holding the fins in one hand, and then using the other hand that I'm not using to hold the fins to grab rocks and pull myself forward and protect my face from getting smashed into rocks. Again, as I'm doing this, I'm always looking back and looking for the swells coming in, and just keep repeating the process until you get back on shore. So those are some tips. That's pretty much how I enter and exit. I used to put on my fins on the rock and then try to swim out with fins, and my fins would get wrecked, and it would be sometimes really difficult to, if I don't time it right, to get out. So that's how I do it. I hope that helps somebody out there, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Just some fun footage in the water. Thanks.